Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on our late night update here in the My Radar studios in Orlando, Florida. I'm Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson. Joining me is also Matt Hyland, who's driving the bus tonight. Have a couple of things we're going to get you updated on, new info on a potential tropical cyclone number 3, as well as the severe weather that's ongoing in the Midwest. Lots to unpack here in the next couple of minutes. We'll try and get you updated as quickly as possible so you can get back to your Friday night. But there is a lot of weather going on across the country. So let's take a look at the My Radar app first. And I do have the hurricane tracker layer turned on. And you can see that the PTC3, I'm going to call it from now on because potential tropical cyclone is a lot to say. That system is about 60 miles south of Morgan City, Louisiana. So it has slowed its forward motion. The big headline at 11 o'clock tonight, it slowed its forward speed, and it's going to be making landfall tomorrow morning as opposed to early in the morning, like 2 a.m., like most of the models were indicating, and so was the Hurricane Center. And they also say it will likely try to hold together as a tropical system for the next 3 days. So we were hoping that this would get more disorganized, but it looks like on some variation it's going to hold some of its tropical characteristics, meaning that it will hold the wind field together as it heads off towards the right as we head into these next couple of days. So again, I'm going to turn this off and turn on the wind layer because the hurricane tracker is an upgrade, but the wind feature is of course free with the download, and you can again see how elongated this low is. And there it is. I'm going to kind of focus in on the center right there. That's about 60 miles south of Morgan City. And it looks much more elongated, much more like what would be a trough of low pressure as opposed to a tropical low. And that's why the Hurricane Center, one of their logics or their reasoning that they did not upgrade this was because, again, it just does not stack up to a tropical low. Look how displaced all of those thunderstorms are that are well to the east and to the north of the center. And there's been bad weather that's been ongoing in this area of the country all night tonight. And it's still going to happen as we get into the morning tomorrow, even though the low is taking its sweet time making it onshore. Besides this, let me quickly show you the Midwest because there have been ongoing tornado warnings. There has been severe thunderstorm warnings, and there is ongoing tornado watches. And let me toggle that on so you can take a look at the current watches and warnings up here. And the reds you see there are actually flood warnings. So they've had so much rain tonight, they've had flash flooding issues. And you can see that that flash flood warning is ongoing for 4.5 more hours. That's from the National Weather Service office in Indianapolis. And there is also some severe thunderstorms behind this. So this is, again, an ongoing situation until about 11:45 local time because of those severe warned storms. So all kinds of weather that we've had. So we've got a couple pieces of video that we got from some folks off of social media. So our first video is out of Peridio Beach, and you can see that the waves were pretty intense here earlier in the day. Today, surfers, of course, always flock to an ocean when there's a landfalling cyclone. It's not recommended, but the surfers want the waves, and the waves in this region of the northern Gulf Coast were anywhere from 8 to 10 feet earlier today. And you can see the rough conditions there, and the conditions, of course, only deteriorated as we got into tonight. And that was also going to be the setup for tomorrow as well. But also, as I mentioned, there has been severe weather in the Midwest. So we also got some video of a tornado that was on the ground in Jay County, Indiana. This was shot around 4 p.m. local time, and there were several tornadoes reported. This was the formative stages of this tornado. There's actually some incredible video on social media, actually from this same gentleman who gave me this video. He gave us 2 pieces. I'm going to show one now, and I've got another one that I'm going to show you in the fast forecast, a classic stovepipe that this became. But again, there have been several rounds of severe weather in the Midwestern states and going to be ongoing tonight. So if you live in those areas of the country, make sure you have those 2 ways to get your weather notices. The My Radar app, of course, with your notifications turned on, and a NOAA weather radio would be another great source for that. All right, back to tropical. So much to cover tonight. I was just telling Matt before we started our live stream, it's, I've been doing this a long time, and I can't recall having so many different and diverse weather hazards ongoing. So we have a landfalling tropical low in the Gulf. We have the severe weather concerns in the Midwest, and we have this excessive heat in the Central Plains and the Western states. So it's really been a very long week and a lot of weather to cover. Thankfully, this tropical low is not more defined, but it's certainly causing some some headaches for the folks across the northern Gulf Coast. So let's show you WSI, and we'll take that full. That's our weather software computer that shows the graphics for you. And you can see that I've got the low there toggled on. And I'm actually going to stop the loop, and I'm going to, let's do a little counter here and see what our little locator says. And of course, the low, it's a little deceiving because that icon is much larger than what the actual center is. Again, it's about 60 miles south of Morgan City, but it shows you just how in what close proximity it is to land. So there isn't a whole lot of time for this to get much stronger. And the Hurricane Center really does not think that it's going to have time to do so. And I put my little pointer out here. So, and again, I'm was spitballing this, and I don't even have this accurately. But 60 miles again would be in that general area. If there's 52, that's just a very rudimentary guess there. But it's still going to be moving towards the boot of Louisiana in these coming hours, and potentially going to be producing more weather through the overnight. So as you can see, New Orleans, just on the outer banks of Lake Pontchartrain on the east and north side, have seen some pretty nasty weather. And then as I scoot along here, you can see that there has been a lot of weather in parts of southeastern Louisiana and over into Mississippi and back over into parts of Florida even. We've had some squally weather here as well. And I'll pull this out just a little bit more so you can see the long arm of this broader area of low pressure that's going to continue to move closer to the coastal areas as we head through the next couple of hours. So these are live current wind speeds, and you can see the sustained winds with those buoys offshore are anywhere from, the highest one is 37 at the West Delta buoy. That's just offshore of, looks like near Sulphur, Louisiana. And I may have that wrong. I may apologize if that's not Sulphur, but let me look real quick. I want to make sure I get that right. But several of the buoys, again, reporting winds, no, Homa, I apologize. So it's just due south of Homa and kind of near Grand Isle. And then a couple of those further offshore, the Green Canyon has 37 mile per hour sustained wind, 36 in one of the other ones, Vioscal Knoll, I guess is how you say that. And there's also been a report from the Pass Christian in Mississippi earlier today around 5 p.m. local time. They had sustained winds of 46 miles an hour. So, the winds are definitely there, you guys. We're definitely going to see some squally weather. Now, to put this in perspective, when you get a severe thunderstorm, you have to have winds near 58 miles per hour or greater. So we're falling below that threshold. But remember, with a severe thunderstorm, those winds don't last for hours and hours and hours. They last for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. But we're talking about these sustained winds that could potentially be in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 miles an hour for several hours. And that's why these are a larger concern. But when you look at this on infrared tonight, it just looks not all that good. I mean, I'll tell you, when I did the live stream earlier tonight around 6, I think we did one around 6:30 p.m. local time here in Orlando, it looked much more impressive. But now tonight, and some of this has to do with the diurnal activity or the heating of the day, so it just doesn't look that impressive on infrared tonight. I just don't think we're going to have enough time for it to strengthen to what would officially classify this as Claudette. We'll see. You never say never in tropical cyclones. They tend to do what they want, but certainly looking less impressive on infrared imagery over these last couple of frames here over these last couple of hours. So I've got also the visible IR blend. So obviously the sun has set, but this does a compilation of the visible imagery and the infrared imagery, and it kind of sandwiches them together. And you can still see, and let me stop this one, and you could kind of see, and Matt, I don't know if you have that full screen, but I would take that full screen if you don't mind. I have a delay, so if you hear me asking Matt to do things, it's because I have a delay on my end, so I don't see what the live stuff that's getting pushed out. But you could see a little bit of a low-level swirl. Let's back this up one second, see if we can see it. So it was a little, well, yeah, it's kind of evident right there. Let me scoot that up. So there you can see the low level. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Oh my goodness. We have so many shortcuts on our toolbar here. It's easy to, there we go. It's easy to get lost. But here is the low right there. If you don't look at the L, which is obviously there, but in the terms of clouds, you can kind of see a wraparound right in there, broad area of low pressure. And then as I scrub this forward, You kind of see those clouds kind of disperse towards the east, and again, just not holding together, not staying well organized, and then just, of course, now very close to landfall. So there's just not a whole lot of opportunity for this to get a whole lot stronger. And of course, no one wants to see it get stronger, but the winds at 45 are still enough to cause some damage. And it's moving north at 13 now, so it was moving north at 10, picked up a little bit of speed here, but current estimations take this landfall somewhere between 5 to 6 a.m. Eastern time, which would be 4 to 5 Central. We'll see if that indeed verifies. A lot of, again, the stormier weather has been well ahead of that center, and we'll see if indeed makes a landfall within the next 5 to 6 hours. And then the another big headline out of the 11 p.m. update was that the Hurricane Center thinks that those squalls or some of those rain bands will withhold their tropical characteristics for about 72 hours. So that would put it over into the Carolinas on Father's Day, not as a tropical system, but some of those tropical winds should stay together. So that would indicate that we could see 35, 40 miles an hour. I wouldn't be surprised to see the local weather offices there issue some type of advisories, because this new thinking now that it will kind of try and maintain some of its tropical characteristics, although this has certainly not been a textbook cyclone in any stretch. This has been a really frustrating system to forecast, I'll tell you what, and it's been really tricky to try and figure out what it's going to do, because it seems to not know what it wants to do. But at any rate, the Hurricane Center still has those tropical storm warnings up for those areas shaded in purple. Those did not change from the last advisory. They have shrunk since yesterday. So once we get really close to a landfall like this, the Hurricane Center really hones in on those tropical storm warnings. But notice how they extend all the way over to Florida, and that's because some of those squalls that have been coming in across the Florida Panhandle, southern Alabama and southern Mississippi, have had sustained winds in the neighborhood of 40 miles an hour. So you're getting tropical storm force winds right now in many of those squalls, and those will stay with you through the overnight. Storm surge came in earlier today. It's still kind of a factor, so I'm still showing you this map. The surge comes in pretty quickly and recedes very slowly. So this still has, some areas still have a surge, probably in the neighborhood of 1 to 2 feet for the most part. We still have a little bit more opportunity for some of that to tick up in the upcoming hours here. So we'll see if that all plays out. But in the meantime, we also have some new info from the hurricane hunters who did another mission this evening. And this particular mission had the winds at flight level 54 and had a surface pressure of about 1,008. So if you watched our last live stream, the surface winds were at 59. So there definitely has been some weakening. That extrapolates down at the surface to around 40 sustained winds. Goodness. So we've seen a little bit of weakening and certainly seen a little bit less structure in this tropical low for sure. Here's the estimated arrival of winds, and of course we've already seen this. I've got to update this product. It's supposed to update automatically, but it did not. So I apologize. We've already seen tropical storm force winds impact southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, and that will continue to move over parts of Alabama and over into Georgia tomorrow and into the Carolinas on Sunday, on Father's Day. So again, we've had a lot of folks that are in the Carolinas and have asked about the weather there. Don't cancel Dad's plans. I don't think you need to move the barbecues necessarily indoors, but it's going to be breezy. And if you are used to tropical lows, you know that type of tropical breeze. It's humid out, it's sticky out. You'll see a bunch of fast-moving clouds overhead, and that's a typical of a very powerful low-level jet sometimes is involved, and you just see the fast movement of those clouds, which is typical with a landfalling tropical system. So probably not going to have to cancel plans for Dad if you have them outdoors, but you'll definitely want to check in with the My Radar app. Check the radar and make sure that you don't have any squalls overhead. I do think this is going to be much less of what it is currently, but with the caveat that the Hurricane Center thinks that this will stay somewhat organized, even though this is not organized. I use that word loosely, organized, as we head into the next couple of days. So here is the Euro model, our future cast, and Matt, you can take that full if you don't mind. And as we head through tonight, some of those squalls will produce those winds in the neighborhood of 40 to 45 miles an hour. And then look how it heads into Saturday and Sunday. It becomes much more elongated and looks a lot more like a cold front. So not tropical, in a typical tropical system where you'd see that big donut or, at least some circular shape to this system. But it certainly has, some of those storms will have some winds packed in them. And up into North Carolina, even as we head into Sunday afternoon, you could see through parts of Charlotte, Raleigh, the Raleigh-Durham area, and then probably going to exit, if I had to guess, somewhere near, the Virginia, North Carolina state line. We'll see. After 72 hours, it will not be tropical in nature, but certainly could be an extra tropical low at that point. A cold front's expected to help pick it up, and it might become more hybrid at that point by day 3. So we'll see. In terms of rainfall, we've already seen several inches. Doppler radar has estimated some of those totals already, 3 inches in some of the pockets. Another couple inches expected. 5 to 7 is the biggest number anywhere through the Florida Panhandle, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, and southeastern Louisiana. And then you can see how it stretches and gets into the Carolinas, maybe 2 to 3, 4 inches in some of those pockets. So the risk for the flash flooding will be an ongoing concern this weekend. But also ongoing through tonight is this risk for severe weather. So look at this big swath of severe thunderstorms that have been moving through the Midwestern states. So we've been tracking this. I've been on this all night, been watching and keeping up with the live chat with the National Weather Service, watching what they're monitoring. And, there has been several tornado warned storms, several tornadoes, as I mentioned. As I kind of zoom in here, we've seen several of these long-lasting tornado warned storms on the ground in Ohio, in particular, and in Indiana, of the 2 states that have had some really rough weather tonight. So you can also see several green polygons. Those are those flood warnings because these storms, again, have been training one on top of the other. So on top of the risk of severe weather, you also have the threat of the training thunderstorms. And this is the loop, which shows the intensity of those storms. So again, pretty impressive with this storm system. This is a better organized or a more potent system than we saw yesterday. There was an enhanced risk in parts of the Great Lakes and a little bit of the Midwest, but more of the Midwestern states today, or tonight, I should say. Tomorrow, that risk does shrink a bit. So the good news is we think that the risk will be a little bit less than what it was today. So there it is with the Storm Prediction Center, 15 million people at an enhanced risk, 12 million at a slight, and 27 million at a marginal. And remember, this product lasts all day. So the polygon here kind of shrinks as you get into the overnight hours, but still we're talking about those Midwestern states that are under the highest risk, that are under that severe thunderstorm watch or that tornado watch. So I'm just going to cycle through these because I did check this before we started our live stream. I did not see any tornadic thunderstorms that I need to let you guys know about. But we certainly have several severe warned storms. You can see them here. I'm just going to kind of scroll from south of Des Moines. All of those polygons are severe warned thunderstorms, and switching that back through Illinois, Indiana. I mean, it's been a busy night, you guys, and over into Ohio. And as I mentioned, there was, we've seen several areas on social media that have had tornado warnings, and that eerie sound of that siren that you hear and those incredible winds that come with those severe warned storms. Really scary stuff. And some of these mesos, some of these severe thunderstorms have been around 60,000 feet. One of them I was tracking was, even higher than that. I mean, it was really, really a massive supercell. So a look at the storm velocity. Again, I've also got the hail markers on here. So those patches that you see in blue, let me grab my pointer so if you're not sure what we're looking at, is right here. So these are where there was shear markers or where there was once hail. So remember that some of these storms have trained on top of each other. So there was hail here earlier in the evening. And we did a storm slice on a couple of these at 6:30. And there's definitely was some well-defined hail cores in some of these storms. So these storms are holding together. They're very powerful, very dangerous. I've seen on social media some very large hailstones. I think one of the largest I saw in the last couple of hours was like grapefruit size in Indiana. And you can see some of those storm reports here, about 100 or so, give or take, in just the last 12 to 18 hours in this area of the country. So busy night. As we head through the next 24 hours, the other big stories I've been mentioning, we're not forgetting our friends out west. We know they have oppressive heat out there. Very dangerous hot weather continues in those western states, especially the desert southwest, where Las Vegas broke a record today with their high, or it was either today or tomorrow. I apologize. I don't recall which day it was, but super high digits for those folks. Even the folks that live in the desert, this has been unusual for them to have such a long stretch of this very hot weather. So let me put this back on the radar real quick. on the tropical low, and then I think we're going to sign off for tonight. And just to let you guys know that Jamie Martin and our production, one of our production guys, Damien, will be in tomorrow as well. One of our directors, I should say. He will be in tomorrow morning with Jamie. They will get you guys updated on the landfall of PTC3 and, hopefully keep your weekend safe. You can catch their updates both tomorrow and on Sunday for Father's Day. And hopefully we'll be done with all of this mess and start the week off next week more quiet. That'll do it for now, you guys. I'll go back and look at the chat, and if there's any questions, I'll try and answer them. We got to take the stream down, though, because we have to get ready for the fast forecast, which airs in just a couple of hours. So thanks again, you guys, for joining us. Stay safe tonight, and we'll see you here soon.